Federal Republic of Somalia, Cabinet Ministers present, Honorable Members of Parliament present, the SRSG, the representative of the SRSCC, heads of diplomatic mission and members of the diplomatic corps, security chiefs in their various capacities, representative of the AMISOM Force Commander, Commissioner, AMISOM Police, sector commanders, senior military and police officers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Today, Uganda marks 52 years since it gained her independence on the 9th October 1962. The journey for Uganda to become a free society has been long and odious. We greatly appreciate all those whose effort contributed towards Uganda regaining her freedom, among other states. It is important to note, however, that when Uganda was struggling to gain her freedom, Somalia, in the spirit of Pan-Africanism, was one of the few that contributed in various ways towards that struggle. The relations between Uganda and Somalia is historic. I recall in 1991, when the civil war was beginning and Somalia was considered a no-go area. His Excellency President Yoweri Museveni was the last foreign head of state to visit Mogadishu while trying to unite the warring parties by then. Again in November 2010, when the conflict was at its peak and the going was very tough here, His Excellency President Yoweri Museveni, in his relentless effort in search of peace for the region, was the first foreign head of state to visit Mogadishu. With the frequent exchanges of high-level visits, our mutual political understanding has been constantly promoted. This year alone, His Excellency President Hassan Sheikh and the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Osman Jawari, have visited Uganda twice. The Prime Minister, Right Honorable Sheikh Abduweli, has visited Uganda once. Several ministers and over 100 members of Parliament have been in Uganda for workshops and capacity building visits, and a good number of Somali students are pursuing their various university education in Uganda. Your Excellency, we have maintained a robust engagement in Somalia for many years, and our partnership with your great nation runs deep. When the African Union Peace and Security Council authorized the deployment of AMISOM to rescue the warring situation that prevailed then, many countries were reluctant to deploy here. It was Uganda, and in particular, the Commander-in-Chief, that took the bold decision to deploy the first Uganda People's Defense Forces contingent of troops that arrived here in Mogadishu in March 2007. Uganda's successful deployment in Somalia mobilized other troop-contributing countries to come on board and was instrumental in galvanizing the urgently required international support for Somalia. Uganda's relationship with Somalia is therefore cemented by blood. Now, as a result of the sacrifice made by Uganda to deploy its forces, 5 troop-contributing countries, United Nations agencies, European Union training team, and several others have joined the struggle. In addition, several diplomatic missions have restored relations with the federal government of Somalia, and a good number of them, as you can see, are represented here in Mogadishu. Uganda and Somalia relations have weathered a lot of difficult times. For example, Uganda cannot forget the 2010 Kampala bombing, which killed innocent people because of our participation in peacekeeping here in Somalia. This unfortunate incident gave us the resolve to fight on, and we seriously regret the extremists, and you can see the results now. Despite the challenges of hosting refugees, Uganda continues to share her meager resources with several thousands of our fellow Somali brothers and sisters who established alternative homes while waiting for Somalia to stabilize. We continue to provide support to the federal government in form of peacekeepers and training of Somali National Forces, and share our own lessons learned in combating terrorism. Over the years, Uganda has learned that defeating terrorism requires much more than just military power. It requires protecting civilian population despite terrorists' disregard of human life in their campaign against states. It requires working to develop impoverished areas where extremism thrives. It requires ensuring that education is accessible to all. And perhaps most important, it requires engaging the growing youth in gainful employment. In other words, it requires a comprehensive, holistic approach. That is what we advocate for the federal government of Somalia to address our people's perceptions. Over 3,500 troops of various categories of Somali National Army that are proactively contributing towards the Somali stabilization process have gone through Uganda training institutions. Uganda hosted the training of police, over 120 civil servants, and many Somali meetings to contribute to the ongoing reforms. Through the most difficult times to date, Uganda People's Defense Forces still secure Villa Somalia and the parliament, enabling them to function as major institutions of the federal government. In addition, UPDF secures the seaport, the airport, which are the major economic hubs of the Somali economy. Uganda congratulates the leadership of the federal government of Somalia in your effort towards regional state formation. The current offensive operations have extended further in the hinterland, where regional administrative structures will play a leading role in enhancing the stabilization process. Uganda also congratulates AMISOM, the Somali National Forces, and the people of Somalia for a commendable job that led to this recent operation gains. Suffice to note, however, the urgent requirement for AMISOM and Somali National Forces to consolidate on the gained strategic grounds. The Somali National Forces need all our support to quickly reorganize, to deploy well-coordinated zonal forces to grounds of tactical importance in order to effectively dominate the liberated areas with patrols and mobilize the local communities, and to support the recovery and reconstruction effort to win the hearts and minds. We greatly appreciate the support by our other partners, whose contribution has not only eased sustainability, but boosted the morale of our troops operating in otherwise very difficult environment. I want to close by emphasizing how optimistic I am about Somalia. From the time I arrived here, I have been privileged to travel around, and I am impressed by the resilience and ingenuity of the Somali people. I've met politicians, elders, business people, soldiers, and I'm struck by how much more that unites them than separates them. They all want better roads, better schools, better health facilities, and more access to basic services like water and electricity. They want more economic opportunities for themselves and their families. They want to live in peace and security. And above all, they want to live together, united, at peace, by themselves and their neighbors. Lastly, Your Excellency, we pay tribute to our dear comrades who have shed blood and lost their dear lives in the struggle to liberate this great nation. May their souls rest in eternal peace. In conclusion, please raise your glasses and join me, but I don't see glasses. Please, can you give us some glasses? Let us some glasses, please.
Black would be fine.
So please allow me to raise your glasses and join me in a toast to the cordial relations of our countries, Uganda and Somalia, and for good health of our two presidents. Cheers. May I take this privilege to invite our chief guest this evening, His Excellency President Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud, to give his remarks.